Welcome everyone to another episode of The Adeptus Ridiculous. I'm one of your hosts, DK Diamantes, and this podcast is all about helping you learn about all the most ridiculous things in Warhammer 40k. Whether you're new, whether you know a little bit, whether you know a lot of it, there is something here for you to love. Now, before we get into the episode, big shout out to all of our Patreons over at patreon.com/adeptusridiculous. Another goal has been smashed. So we are going to be reading the Guardsman fanfics, but we're going to be doing it completely sober, and I'm not allowed to talk about anime. That's probably the worst part because that's the only thing I know anything about, but you guys are amazing. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, head on over to patreon.com/adeptusridiculous. Get access to the Discord, bloopers, HD posters, all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for your support. And before this episode gets started, Bricky, I think you have a couple announcements, eh?
I do have a couple announcements. So a few things. First things first, I want to make sure we get the goddamn book club in now so we don't forget it and have to discuss it later on in the episode. So for those of you who are not known, we are doing book clubs once per month. We are starting it in early June, and the book is The Infinite and the Divine about Trazen and Oricim. If you haven't read or listened to it, please do so you can be prepared for said book club. I would highly recommend it on Audible because I think the VA does a really, really good job with the characters and all. Yeah, it adds a lot to the actual book, so I'd recommend it on there. The second announcement is, while it did come a little late, we do in fact have new merchandise, and it is in the form of Doge Van Dyer sticker packs.
Let's go!
We promised we'd do Doge Van Dyer merch. A little hard to get certain parts of it, so we settled for something a little bit easier and simpler. We are doing sticker packs. So there's a fun pack of 3. There's 3 different stickers. There's good old Doge Van Dyer on his throne, him getting bonked in the head by a bat, and that hilarious, like, what's that meme with the cat who with like the knife pointing at him? He looks all smug.
Yeah.
One of those with a chain sword. So you can check that out over in the description or at orchidate.com at the Adeptus Ridiculous content creators section. We also have hoodies and shirts as well if you'd like to get that. And if you live in the US, any orders over $75 is free shipping. So wahoo!
Hey.
And the last thing I wanted to mention real quick, because this is actually more of a question for Shy. So,
I don't like where this is going.
she's like, what? What do you mean? So for a while, our highest Patreon tier was $50, right? It was the Fabricator General tier, which gave you like a big ass, like bright pink name in the Discord. It was very like Emperor's Children style, Big Dickus, brother of, what was that called again? Big Dickus, brother of like of something else.
Oh, like he has a wife. I forget what the wife's name was. I already forget the gag. But he has a wife that's like something Big Boobus or something. I don't remember what it was.
Big Booba daughter.
Big Booba.
Big,
that's his daughter, Big Boba.
Lady Dimitrescu, husband to Big Dickus. Anyway,
off the rails already.
So we had quite a few Fabricator Generals, and I was like, you know what, Shy? We should make like a tier above that, just like a ridiculously high one, just something that like it doesn't give you anything else besides a different Discord name, but just in case like 1 or 2 people really want to go that high, right? Because why not? Might as well.
Yeah, why not? If you want to support. Yeah.
So she made the High Lord tier, and one person, well, I think we have 2, but one person got it and then immediately went into the introduce yourself section of the Discord and said, "You are all of you beneath me," and posted a sheer amount of Among Us twerking crewmate gifs. Courtesy of yours truly. But I noticed something. So the first thing they did was post Among Us crewmate. The High Lord tier is of course there, but the color is turquoise.
Okay. Color's turquoise.
Shy, did you purposely make the highest Patreon tier an Alpha Legion meme?
Oh.
Shy, was that intentional?
I didn't even consider that.
Did you create? I don't like that smug emoji.
You know what? I will bet you that she wasn't even thinking about it. Now she's just trying to take credit for it because it sounds cool.
I would take credit for it too.
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah, you're a High Lord of Terra. Here's the Alpha Legion color scheme because Bricky forgot what the fuck the Alpha Legion was for like a solid 10 minutes in the last episode.
To be fair, people fucking love that, dude. The irony of not knowing the Iron Legion because that's their thing.
The Iron Legion?
Or not the Alpha Legion. It's somewhat early for me. God damn it.
The Iron Warriors are Perturabo. He builds mazes and shit.
Oh man, now I'm gonna get memed on this episode. Fuck.
The Iron Legion. Iron within. We are Alfarius. Anyway, so we've got a bit of a fucking episode today. I wanted to ask her that because I was a little bit like, she looked like she was gonna do a ruse on me, but
okay.
Big day. Big topic. Day. It is the fall of Cadia itself. Now, this is, I think, told over the course of 3 to 4 books. Full novels. And so, similarly with the Horus Heresy, let me just be honest with this one. I do not know if I'm going to be able to cover, like, obviously, we're not supposed to cover everything. It's not the point of the podcast.
Right.
But holy shit, is there a lot that goes on into this? I was scrolling, you know, like, there's a good meme where you're learning about the Horus Heresy and you're reading it on the wiki, and then you look to your right and you realize that the tab cursor hasn't moved. You're like, wait a minute, and you scroll down, you're like, oh my god, there's 400 fucking pages of Horus Heresy. Yeah. So
you think this might require a part 2?
No, I could probably do it, but I'm just saying, like, there's some stuff.
Strap yourselves in, pack a lunch, yeah.
Pack a lunch. Like, there's some things that you might be like, oh, is Ricky gonna talk about this? Like, no, Ahriman assaulted the Eldar Webway and is trying to get into the Black Library. That's cool. I don't really know. We're not gonna talk much about that today. We're gonna mainly talk about the big things. We're gonna talk a little bit about Lord Creed. We're gonna talk about Abaddon, of course, and a lot of the big boys. I'm also gonna do a couple flashbacks during this because, like I'm gonna get to a point and then I'm gonna flash back to some backstory and then I'm gonna go forward.
Okay.
Just so Sounds I can explain things a little bit, a little bit easier. Yep. So we know Abaddon. We talked about Abaddon. That was the prior episode. Mm-hmm. Cool, pretty cool. Not as bad as a villain as I think everyone gives him credit for. I think he's kind of neat.
Yeah, he's memed on way too much. Like,
I think he is memed on a bit.
He's cool. Like, come on, give him a break.
Yeah, I think he's cooler than a lot of people expect. So Cadia is part of the Cadians. It's the Cadia system, the Cadia sector, right?
Okay.
And very similar to us, we're in the Sol system because our sun is named Sol. This is our amalgamation of planets, you know, Earth, Mars, etc. Now, Cadia, in the Cadian sector, is a multitude of planets, and actually quite a few in this sector. There's actually, it's got a lot of planets in this major like Cadian sector. It's got a lot of planets, and also in there, of course, is Cadia Prime. Now, Cadia Prime was a fortress world, which is basically this thing is as close to Earth as I think you could probably get. It is a classic terrestrial world, lots of water, lots of land. It is a classic fortress world. Now, the reason why Cadia is so fucking fancy is that obviously you can go into the warp and go out of the warp with starship drives and everything. But remember the Eye of Terror?
Yes, I do remember the Eye of Terror.
Okay, I'm sure Shai will provide supplementary imagery.
Yeah.
The Eye of Terror is the giant zipper of the galaxy, right? It is a crack in the real space directly into the warp itself. It is the only place in the galaxy that has a direct, like, go from one thing to the other, basically, like, that kind of thing. It's the only thing that you can just, because you normally have to teleport into the warp and then out of the warp for travel. This is just a giant fucking, like, someone punched a hole in the drywall, and then inside the walls is the warp. Now, if you look at the map that Shai sent you, on the bottom right-hand corner, do you see Cadia? It says a little circle.
Yeah. Oh.
Cadia is on the fucking doorstep of the Eye of Terror. It is on the front door. it decided to bring out a white foldable chair, talking Devil May Cry Virgil style, and planted its fucking ass right in front of the front porch of its arch nemesis, basically.
Oh, is that why Cadia is so important? Is because it's just like, it's right there, and it's just easy access into the...
Yes, that, and Cadia is the largest export of guardsmen from the Imperial Guard. If you look at the classic, and I mean this classic style, the green and the khaki, this is Cadian guardsmen. This is a Cadian-based guardsman. And Cadians are, like I mentioned it before, they're like at 6 they know how to shoot a lasgun, at 12 they know how to disassemble it, at 16 they're doing howitzer drills for 24 hours straight, right? Like
right.
Cadian guardsmen are drilled to perfection. They are extremely, like, high class.
So you said Cadia is where the most guardsmen come from. So it's like, Cadia is like one of the most heavily fortified, like, Imperium planets? Or is it just the most guardsmen come from there? I'm
both.
assuming it's that way because of its close proximity to the Eye of Terror, and it's like, yo, if we're gonna fortify someplace, it better be that place that's on the warp's doorstep, because who the fuck knows what's coming out of there?
A bit, yeah. So it's a combination of, this is just, Cadia is where a mass export of guardsmen are. The entire planet is like a hive world, entirely based in military. Their exports of guardsmen can be seen across the galaxy. Like, there are other Cadian-based planets around the galaxy that export also Cadian guardsmen. Like, their influence has spread massively. Wow. Prior to the actual death of Cadia, there were 850 million guardsmen, or million population on that planet. 800,
wow.
A lot.
That's a couple people, yeah. Jesus.
850 million. That's actually not that many. It might be the amount of guardsmen.
Yeah,
because we have 7
guardsmen.
Well, we have 7 billion, don't we, on Earth?
Well, I mean, that's Terra. That's like home base, right? That should have.
No, I mean, like, don't we have 7 billion on Earth, our Earth, right now?
Oh! You mean like in
real life?
World, not
yes.
Oh, I have no idea.
I think we have like 7.4 billion or something. Maybe that's 850 million guardsmen, or maybe Cadia is just a bit smaller than the average.
Could be a little smaller planet. So yeah, sure.
Whatever the reason, it's a lot of fucking people on this planet, all right, and they have lots of guardsmen. But it's also because the Eye of Terror is a really great place for chaos to move. It's like a main lane to send out fleets back and forth. It's much easier to get into. It's much easier to work with. And because of that, having a gigantic planet whose sole purpose is millions upon millions of guardsmen, ships, manufactorums, the Adeptus Mechanicus have a huge presence there. It's a giant roadblock. It is a bottle. The goddamn Eye of Terror is like a bottle, and Chaos is trying to get out of it, and Cadia is the cork. And it's just plugging them up. It's making it really difficult. In fact, you can even see the Eye of Terror from the sky. Like, the sky is this bright purple and pink color. Here's a great quote. From Inquisitor General Neve. It's like, this is Cadia, you silly fool. Cadia, right on the doorway of chaos, right in the heart of everything. The seepage of evil is so great, I have 100 active cults to subdue every month. This place breeds recidivists like a pond breeds scum. This is Cadia. This is the gate of the eye. This is where the bloody work of the Inquisition is done. Like, it has this very, like, this is Cadia, motherfucker. Like, you gonna try to deal with us? Like, this is Detroit, my dude.
Jesus. Shai said apparently people who grew up on Cadia have eyes colored the same color as the Eye of Terror.
Yep. Often a lot of Cadian guardsmen have like a purple tinged eye color because of the Eye of Terror.
It's so cool. And she posted a picture of it, and it's like the way you can see the Eye of Terror from the sky is so dope. Like, what a view.
Living on Cadia would suck because your whole life is a hive world, like constantly doing military, etc. But that's a view.
That is
a
hell
damn
of a
view.
Like, you know, if you happen to have a guardsman girlfriend that you want to take on a date, that's a hell of a sunset to watch, eh?
Hey, you know, we always joke that no one fucks in 40K, but guardsmen fuck plenty.
They need to. They need some kind of release from all that fucking madness
horror.
that they endure. Yeah, you gotta let them have some fun, right?
Hell yeah.
Consensual
Hell yeah.
fun, damn it.
Yes, not the murdering fun. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Don't worry
it's
about
40K. Don't worry about it.
It's all right. Fun can be murdering other people. It's okay. Anyway,
just look at the Drukhari, right?
Yes, they're having plenty of fun.
Too much fun.
So, Cadia, that's Cadia. It is a bastion of humanity. It is a shining light. And through the last 10,000 years, since the Horus Heresy and the Eye of Terror and all this stuff, it has held it the entire time. It has never been lost. It is
That's pretty impressive. Actually.
The Eye of Terror arrived like 27,000 or whatever the year is, like whenever the Eldar butt fucked, whatever the time frame. But ever since the Horus Heresy, like it has held the goddamn Eye of Terror back for 10,000 years. It has kept it back, and it's like that alone from a planet of guardsmen, of dudes,
just dude meisters,
is badass. So
that's crazy. And that's crazy that it hasn't fallen ever, and it's right there. You would think that they're just constantly like under siege, and that they've held it back for that long is mind-boggling, considering all the horrors that are coming out from the warp and they're coming from the other side. It's fucking insane.
It is. It's pretty awesome. So the fall of Cadia begins. Was a bunch of space hulks. We talked about space hulks, right? Like an amalgamation of fucking ships all like twisted together, drifting towards the Cadian sector. Lots of them. Now it can be there's a lot coming, and as they're making their way up, some of them are destroyed by orbital defenses, some of them are boarded by Astartes and dealt with. Not all of them though, and a lot of them immediately smashed right into Imperial strongholds, naval bases, and other orbital defenses as like gigantic battering rams. And then there's this chaos vessel that was known as the Plague Claw. And the Plague Claw was cited for a bit by some of the naval officers, and they were like, whoa, wait a minute. That's a really important fucking fleet. Oh shit. And they went to go try to track it down and destroy it. And it led them right into something known as the Terminus Est. The Terminus Est is known as the flagship of the commander of the Destroyer Hive, Lord of the Death Guard, Typhus. And
I was gonna say, I remember that ship. I was like, that's Typhus's furry moldy ship, right?
You know it. The
let's
disgusting mold ship. And he led right into that Imperial an ambush with the Terminus Est and a large majority of the Death Guard fleet. And that Imperium fleet survived fucking barely. Like they lost like 99% of their ships. Like the main admiral was able to skedaddle.
Jeez. I mean, it is the Death Guard, so that doesn't surprise me too much.
No, and they are continuing. With the major naval fleet like destroyed, Typhus had full reign, and he released pestilence upon pestilence on many of the other non-Cadian worlds in the Cadian sector. This was known as the Plague of Unbelief, because a combination of a bunch of giant space hulks slamming into the planets, the pestilence writhing its way through the planets, poxwalkers and zombies spreading it further, and large amounts of people were like, the Emperor has fucking abandoned us. Holy shit. Everything has gone to hell. We need to deal with this. And then they started going to like the higher ups and the nobles of the planets to take over. And all the nobles are like, have like lung rot and shit. And they're like, I can't fight back. I can't fight. Like a bunch of like peasants are starting running up and like stabbing them with pitchforks and shit because they can't handle it.
That is... Oh my god, that's a hell of a way to start a campaign. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Like, I was gonna say, how do you recover from something like that? Like, Typhus has free reign. There's plague and pestilence and unbelief everywhere. The Death Guard are. How do you? What happens after that other than everybody dies?
Well, remember, this is at lots of other planets, but not all the planets, because Typhus doesn't have like full range of the entire Cadian system. He's got some planets he's able to fuck with, but not all of them. Because besides, like, as bad as the pestilence may be and all the problems that might happen, you know, a giant suit of Astartes power armor makes you pretty safe sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Not always,
But with lots of them, like, kind of these unrests occurring, rebellions breaking out across the planets, resistance groups, cults to the Plague Emperor, Plague God, Nurgle, because lots of cults would sprout up, like, please, I'll fucking do anything if you just stop this pain of, like, this pestilence, and then they'll become, like, poxwalkers, or they'll be, like, ascended into a demon or something, and many things, like, infestation caused a lot of problems. However, during this period of time, Cadia remained mostly untouched. They still had a massive naval fleet. They had massive, like, orbital battle stations. You know, Typhus is causing problems, a lot of problems, but not everything has gone downhill yet. However, the planetary governors, the main higher-ups, are like, okay, we're under attack. The fucking Typhus is here. He's got his Death Guard. Okay, we need help. So they started bringing in new amounts of regiments of guard, and like lots of regiments of guard started coming in over and over again. You're gonna need them, including this really high elite one called the Volscani Cataphracts. And they're like top tier. They're prime cut. Like, if you think Cadian guardsmen are special, like, these guys are so good. They held a goddamn, like, welcoming parade. Like,
wow.
These dudes, like, the governors are there because even they're like, oh, we got to salute these guys because these dudes are like kings.
Hardcore. Okay.
They're super hardcore, and that was a mistake. As it turned out that prior, because Abaddon's a smart motherfucker. Turns out the Volscani Cataphracts had all turned to chaos. And Yep. And immediately after disembarking, they flew the flags of the despoiler and opened fired upon all of the Cadian forces around them. Their gunships, their tanks, their men, bombs, everything.
So shit has gotten really, really bad. Not only is Typhus just running around spoiling everything and poxwalkering and pestilence, they call in the best of the best, their elite guard, and even they've turned to chaos, and even they're fucking them up.
Mm-hmm. If you a very famous Imperial Guard poster that Shai just posted is the one that's the battle. That's them leading their assault. Or against them, that is. Like, there's the gigantic fucking regimental ship in the background.
Yep.
Now,
so how do you recover from this? Typhus is already fucking. Your elite are fucked. What? How do you? Okay, go ahead.
All right. Flashback.
Okay.
Flashback. Okay. One of the things that I really liked about Aaron Dembski-Bowden when I read Soul Hunter is that often he'd do this thing where he'd go on this like 9-paragraph tangent providing backstory for like a random character, and then the Night Lords just fucking kill them. But it's kind of interesting because it gives you like it's like lore fleshing, you know?
Yeah.
So there's this man. His name is Lord Castellan Ursarkar Creed, or also known as just Creed. Okay. Now he's 50 years old. And he's the supreme commander of military forces of Cadia. Now Creed, as a young man, he was an orphaned boy in burning ruins of this place following a Cadian attack a chaos attack on Cadia. Okay. And as an orphaned young child, all he had was a copy of the Gloria Macarius, which I believe is the glory of Macarius, the old War Master. High Solar Macarius, because he chose not to take the title of War Master because he hated Horus. and a single service pistol. And he was alone during the Cadian attack, and he hid in the burning ruins for weeks. And he would never speak of what happened during those days. No one would ever know. But the 8th Cadian Regiment was so impressed by him and this like 8-year-old or not 8-year-old, it was the 8th Cadian Regiment, but this young child in these burning ruins to survive with just this book and a pistol. So he eventually was taken in by the 8th Cadian Regiment, and he was drafted very early age into the White Shields, which is basically a bunch of fucking child soldiers. And then he survived. He excelled as both a soldier and a really good tactician. So eventually he was able to earn his own command under like as a young kid, he earned his own command of these White Shields. And that's where he met a buddy named Jaren Kell, also known as Color Sergeant Kell. You know how like Nemesaur, Zandrek, and Oberyn are like best robot boys?
Oh, yeah.
This is the same.
Gotcha.
Honestly, these two guys share massive similarities. Creed is an older man who is an incredibly esteemed general, and he has a sergeant to his side that is like undoubtedly loyal.
Right. Okay.
Now, God knows what Creed has like dealt with. The sheer amount of things he's had to fight. He's led armored companies. He's led guardsmen like drops. The man has gone to such an insane degree, rising through the ranks, that he eventually reached the rank of Lord Castellan after a plot to assassinate the Cadian governor, the Cadian Primus governor, and much of the high command during that period of time. That's when he finally was able to make the rank of Lord Castellan and therefore be created as the new planetary governor, as all the other Cadian high command were killed by those cataphract guys.
Right, okay.
Now, normally, the Cadia always had two governors. There was the Primus and the Secundus. And now with the... What?
I think it's funny that the second one is called the Secundus. He's the
why is that
second
funny?
governor. It's second us.
I thought you were going to make
funny.
I thought you were going to make
you thought I was going to suss it? You thought I was going to suss it up?
Well, I was either going to be Secundus, or it was going to be like Amogus, Secundus.
Now, I'm not the one that does the Among Us memes, Bricky, am I?
No, I suppose
No,
you're not.
I'm not. Of course I'm not. You might have thought that because you do them, but not me. I've got culture. I only do anime memes.
Oh my god. Okay, so anyway, with the Cadian High Command dead, Lord Creed and his insane tactical prowess now actually took the rank of Lord Castellan, a special rank that made him both the Primus and the Secundus. He was the main new planetary governor for Cadia, and the first thing he did with his fucking giga brain was lead a counter assault with all the remaining troops against this major assault by the cataphracts. And by God, did he fuck them up. He leaded them back. He leaded them back immediately. His counterattack was incredibly skilled. His tactical genius, like, he knows an initial assault when he sees one. Space Hulk slamming into things, Death Guard killing off populations, an immediate assassination of the High Command. He knows a goddamn war when he sees one.
Yeah.
So he's like, no way. And he took out all the cataphracts, led his full counter assault, secured the surface of Cadia, and immediately started getting forces rallied for like full-blown war.
Whoa.
Because this dude is a giga brain.
Damn, so he fought off the best of the best guardsmen that had turned to chaos.
If you look in the first image that Shai showed us, look in the way back, he's got that Chad-ass trench coat. There he is, lording over all the dudes. Dude, in game, he's literally tactical genius. The fucking dude's got two high-powered pistols that he wields like a goddamn double pistol, like Rambo motherfucker. And he's like not very tall. I think he's like 5'6" or something.
Yeah, he looks kind of stocky. Yeah.
He's a little stocky. Like most guardsmen are like pretty prime cut dudes. They're like 6 foot, 6'3". But Creed is like, he's this little stocky dude, but the man, he's got a fucking trench coat. That collar is popping.
Oh yeah, he's not even, he doesn't even have his arms in the sleeves. He's such a Chad.
There's a story that we might cover one day. There's a joke where Creed beats Tzeentch in chess, like the god Tzeentch. And there's also another meme. Back in the old day of 40K, Creed used to have an ability called Tactical Genius, where you could take any unit in the game for guard, and you could outflank it because you hit it. So the joke is that Creed would like take skyscraper-sized titans and like hide them behind stop signs. Because he was so fucking smart, and he'd be like, "Peekaboo, I see you, die, traitor scum."
Oh god, where did that Titan come from? Oh my god,
it's pretty great.
Could have been hiding behind that little tree.
His old rules were fantastic. It's like those memes where someone who's way bigger than like a side of a tree walks out behind a tree. And it's like, haha, I've caught you. It's fucking great. Anyway, so Creed led the counterattack. And then they decided to eventually, or they were able to, after sending out Astropath help signals, they were able to get Imperial forces such as the Astartes and a few other Imperial Guard and stuff to eventually answer the call to assist them. And they eventually scouted out the Eye of Terror in order to see what might be coming to for them, which was a trap. Of course it was, because Abaddon also has Gigabrain. And all of the scouts were then stranded on a demon world, which then like imploded because it's a demon world. So, you know, I mean, physics, who needs them?
Yeah.
But then after it imploded on itself, the real 13th Black Crusade fleet arrived. A couple hundred chaos ships, space hulks, transports, the Plague Claw, the Terminus Est, the entire fleet of the Death Guard, 2 separate Blackstone fortresses, and the Vengeful Spirit with Abaddon himself aboard it.
Oh boy. Before this I was like, wow, this Creed guy, he sure sounds like he could, you know, put a stop to all this nonsense. Now it's just like, yeah, you're fucked. You're fucked. Like, you got everything spewing out from the Eye of Terror. Typhus is still on the other side, fucking everything. I mean, good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
But this is Cadia, fool. This is Cadia.
But I mean, that's a lot of chaos.
But what? I don't know nothing what you're talking about.
It's not like it's called the Fall of Cadia for a reason or anything, right?
Well, I mean that's that's different.
That's a different story. Yeah.
We'll get there.
Okay.
All right. We need more Bricky quotes. Here's a fantastic one from Creed himself. He says, "Let me make one thing clear, gentlemen. We are now in the fight of our lives. The arch enemy has come to our home with greater force and fury than ever before. All that stands between him and victory is us. Us, gentlemen. It is we who must stand before the enemy and turn him back. Why? Because we're here and no one else is going to do it for us. So if any man here believes he cannot do his duty to the Emperor, then he should present himself before the regimental commissars and stop wasting my time."
Wow.
You know what's something cool about Creed? On Cadia, the most like whipped fucking planet of all time. If you're a planetary general, if you are like a major high officer, if there's a speck of fucking dust on your boot, you're going in the stocks. Like you have your uniforms pressed. You are clean. You need to look the fucking part. Like, this is Cadia, fool.
This is Cadia, fool.
Creed?
That's a badass speech, though.
Creed has a dirty jacket. He smokes cigars. He's got fucking cigar dust on his uniform. He like spits on the ground. He probably has tobacco chew. He wears dirty 3-day like non-wash uniforms because he's too much of a Chad. because no one dares like get against his command because he is the physical definition of function over form. Remember what we talked about before a while ago about the whole like the dirty mechanic shop?
Yes.
Where like the dirty mechanic shop is preferred because you know that they actually work.
They've been doing stuff. Yeah. Got the grime under their fingernails and everything. Yeah.
He's the physical embodiment of that. It's good speech though, right? Like he's like no nonsense.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah, that's a rallying speech right there.
So if we weren't done yet, an admiral and his fleet decide to engage the Chaos fleet to buy time for reinforcements. They all died horribly.
Of course.
This is probably like 60 pages in a book, but I just skipped it like that because this is what we have to do in these episodes.
Yeah. Yep.
Then the other planets around Cadia were then fighting the Death Guard and Plague Marines because they constantly were crumbling from the Imperial defenses were crumbling to the full might of the full-on Death Guard. And then the Emperor's Children attacked another planet. And then the Night Lords attacked another planet and started spreading fear throughout the entire sector. And then the Alpha Legion were like, surprise! And revealed themselves to be hidden in cells of Space Marines and started to beat a bunch of fucking loyalist Space Marines. They were like, in a jack-in-the-box, like, surprise, heretics! Bah, 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 bah.
Pop! Goes the heretic.
Dude, I need a fucking Alpha Legion inside like a jack-in-the-box. And then it pops out with a bolter. It's like, surprise, loyalists! And he starts gunning them down.
So, man, can it get any worse? Like, I mean, that's true. I guess it does. We haven't hit the end of it yet, have we? Okay.
No.
Oh, this sounds like peak awful, but yeah.
So that wasn't done. More chaos came. Greater demons, Titan legions, chaos cultists, chaos Imperial Guard kept on going. And while the planets just started falling like mad, destroyed by the Chaos forces, Abaddon and his fleet made their way to Cadia specifically. And with the devastation of huge amounts of the Imperial fleet, the destruction of the Cadian High Command, and the destruction now of a ton of Cadian orbital defenses, Abaddon had a clear shot to Cadia. At the same time, way farther away in a sector, Abaddon also sent a massive amount of forces to Medusa, which is the homeworld of the Iron Hands. And because the Iron Hands recruit specifically from Medusa, they had to take all of their fortress monasteries, all of their major Iron Hand forces away from the Cadian battle in an attempt to stop the massive amount of attacking over at Medusa. This included like 10,000 Trader Guard tanks and Astartes and like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Abaddon probably would have been stoked if he was able to take Medusa, but that was not the goal. The goal was get the Iron Hands away from the fight.
Yeah, thin the ranks out a little bit, get the Iron Hands away, and then make your job a lot easier.
Hell yeah. And then after that, the invasion of Cadia had finally begun. This started off with a fierce orbital bombardment from God knows how many ships. I don't know if you know this, but in Warhammer, there's these things called void shields. It's a fancy shield that covers big things like really large vehicles, Titans, and like aircraft, or like starships. Lots of planets have these over their structures, and the reason is to stop orbital bombardments. Because like there's always the question, why do they even do ground battles? Just fucking orbitally bombard them, right?
Because they have void shields, so you got to do on the ground.
Exactly. This being said, certain areas were like not even able to handle it because he bombed them so fucking hard. After that, he sent Chaos Marines, thousands of Trader Guard, and demons directly to the surface, to a point where they were being held at bay by the 13th Company of Space Wolves, as well as, of course, the sheer volume of Mechanicus and Guard on the surface. Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's just a couple guardsmen, yeah.
Oh, he's not done. Abaddon's got more. He's a war master. He's got more plans.
Of course,
now,
of course.
Now we're gonna talk about our boys, our Italian pizza man word bearers.
Oh no!
Hey,
Hey! We're bringing the words. Hey!
Hey, you know what's the most famous word bearer of all time, DK?
Who's that?
It's Erebus, and
Erebus.
Erebus. He's gonna make dark rituals on a planet they captured, and they're creating giant warp storms and terrible hordes of demons across the sector. And now, by creating giant warp storms and summoning demons, large amounts of the Sons of Malice and Dark Angels were now completely unable to help Cadia because of these giant warp storms cutting off their planets.
Ooh, boy. God damn.
Good old Erebus, it was like, hey, yo, demons, we decide to steal about like a couple million civilians from these planets that Typhus fucked up. We're gonna sacrifice them to you now. Can you do our bidding a little bit? Can you cut off some of the ways, get some warp storms to stop any Imperial reinforcements? And the Chaos Gods were like, I got you, homie.
Thanks for the snack. I got you.
I got you. Hey, Nurgle had like a face full of pizza. He looked like Pizza the Hut. And he was like, hey!
Hey! Oh man, it sucks to be on Cadia right now. God damn. It's
Yup. It is not a good time. However, thanks to Creed's Giga Brain, those demons and things they sent down to the surface were actually starting to be held back. Because of him and a large amount of white scars, we're able to slowly force back the encroaching enemy. But then, in a blast of fantastic luck, about a couple dozen chapters of Space Marines finally arrived as reinforcements. Not from those areas that were blocked off, mind you.
I was gonna say, how'd they get through those warp storms?
But they finally fucking made it. The Dark Angels and Space Wolves were then dealing with the threats of Typhus and his Plague Legions, the Black Templars, the Imperial Fists, the Inquisition, and the Grey Knights, who we haven't talked much about yet, have arrived to stop Abaddon. Imagine the Grey Knights as like a super secretive fucking Space Marine organization that are entirely about killing demons.
Oh, so Chaos does not want the Grey Knights to show up.
Grey
That's
Knights,
probably the last thing they want.
Yes, but Grey Knights are very like small. They're very specific. They know like the true names of demons. That's like words of banishment and shit like that. The thing about Grey Knights is like they'll arrive, they'll fuck up a bunch of demons, and then they'll look at you and they'll just fucking teleport away and be like, peace. and if you know about them, like no one knows about them. Normally you get killed if you know about them.
Oh shit, they're that secretive?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, they do like memory wipes, or they just kill you if they think you have a demonic infestation. Grey Knight lore has been handled really bad. It's better now, but in the day, oh my god. We'll talk about them later in their episode.
Okay.
They are pretty cool looking though. However, this is like the big time when like they finally might have a chance to turn back the Crusade, right? Like all these Space Marine chapters have arrived. All these big fucking like groups have come to the assistance of Cadia. In Cadia, the actual service themselves were being held back. Creed and his Gigabrain was actually finally able to really push back the Chaos forces. They were doing a great job. And not only that, but even more things arrived. The Sisters of Battle, the Order of Our Martyred Lady, and she herself, Saint Celestine, had joined the battle. There's an image that Shai showed right there. That's her, bright as a fucking sun, coming through, flying and killing the demons with all that holy light.
Jesus Christ.
Like the Sisters, the Black Templars, all of these people are here and assisting. Like everybody's here.
When you said this was Endgame, you were not kidding.
Everyone, and I'm not even done. We got more characters to talk about. Like Erebus is here, man. Erebus, let's go.
Yeah, that motherfucker, Erebus.
So as you know, all these things, right? Like the Inquisition, the fucking Grey Knights, like everyone's fucking here. And like I said, this is like 4 goddamn books that we're going through right now. But then things got worse.
Of course, they always get worse.
Erebus's ritual finally came to its completion, and then he was able to create warp storms to cut off the entire area of Cadian system.
Ooh.
It's all a warp storm now. That means if you're in Cadia, you're staying.
Not getting out, yeah.
And no one else can help you.
Ooh.
That's the end. You right now you are like you're there. If you're
That's
there,
how many reinforcements you've got. If this doesn't work out,
you're fucking
fucked.
there now.
Nobody else is coming to save you. It's
now as interesting as this was, and as good old Creed was holding back all of the insane forces, it was starting to really get on Abaddon's nerves. And now that the Typhus and the Death Guard were now they had a giant area of closed off space, they were at their full peak. They were like, okay, you're all stuck here. Plagues. And good old Abaddon was making his way to Cadia with a few things. A giant chaos ship known as the Planet Killer, which, ironically enough, can destroy planets. And
no kidding. Is that what they call it, the Planet Killer?
They do. And of course, the Blackstone Fortress itself, which is, I don't think I was able to truly let you know like the power of a Blackstone Fortress.
Well,
a Blackstone
said
Fortress,
it was like a Death Star, but stronger, so it could absolutely blow up a planet.
Right, but like if you combine 3 of them together, you can supernova a star. Oh. And he had 2.
Ooh. Well.
Yeah.
Huh. That's quite the little armada he's amassed there. That's quite the
He's got a fucking fleet is what he's goddamn got.
Yeah.
It is nuts. He has a tide of traitors. He like okay, Abaddon, everyone memes on him, of course.
Of course.
I could maybe understand a little bit more of the memeing prior to the fall of Cadia, but I feel like the fall of Cadia like cemented him a little bit more because he went all fucking out for this.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like he had everything planned out to where it's like you can't fail. Like there's no way you'd lose this. Like it's only the only surprising thing is that it took him as long as it did to actually like I think the only surprise is that Creed has lasted as long as he has.
It is.
He's a fucking amazing giga brain Chad.
If Creed was not there, Cadia would have fallen in the ground battle. Because Creed is such a goddamn giga Chad. But, continuing, Abaddon then is leading his attack on the full-on on Cadia themselves. And what he's doing, good old Abby, our man himself, he is taking... So the name of the Blackstone Fortress is called the Will of Eternity. And as the Will of Eternity was making its way to Cadia, Cadia's shields were down.
Oh,
and that's because of Abaddon's attacks. And it required a couple of days in order to get those shields back up to block the Blackstone Fortress.
Oh.
Now, flashback. There is a man. His name, you might know him just a little bit. His name is Trazen the Infinite.
Oh shit! High
Archivist of the Solemnis Galleries, Overlord of the Hylac dynasty, and good old Trazen the Infinite had this bell in his possession called the Bell of Saint Gerstal, and for thousands of years, this bell sat silent upon its nice little pedestal in stasis in the large galleries of Solemnis, and this period of time. It eventually started fucking banging. It started banging like mad. The first note split the ceiling of the bell's stasis chamber, having a bunch of coolant dissolve a whole bunch of priceless artifacts in sand sculpture. The second one caused a logic cascade to wrongfully have the commands and Necron warriors to come back alive and stasis sleep and start shooting shit. The third one, some reverberations throughout it kept on banging, and it fucked up his a huge amount of his gallery. and he was
Trazen hates.
It did, and it went and chimed 13 times, exactly 13, in 13 Black Crusade.
Oh, hey, okay.
And now to say that Trazen was fucking pissed would be an understatement.
Yeah.
We
does
know
not like it when his gallery gets fucked up. If you mess with his gallery, that's oh boy, nothing worse. Nothing.
I mean,
worse.
we've been reading The Infinite and the Divine. We know for a fact he is not pleased when you mess with his gallery.
No. He does not like his priceless artifacts to be touched and messed with. Nope.
So naturally, this bell was in stasis. So it can't move.
Yeah.
Like,
shouldn't. Yeah.
Why in the fuck does it chime? It shouldn't move. And as angry as Trazen was, he was also like, that's fucking weird. I should figure out what the hell's going on. And so the first thing he did was throw that bell into the deepest depths of the Eldar webway, hoping that it would inconvenience them as much as it inconvenienced him, because he's such a douche.
What a dick.
He's just like, man, dick. That's annoying. Here you go. Yeet. And just throws the bell into the webway. He's like, maybe the Eldar will be bugged by it instead. All right. So he made his way to Thanatos, and through the use of the Celestial Orrery, which is that thing that can boop, the star explodes.
Yeah.
He was figuring out what in the goddamn hell was going on. And he was finding out that the 13 chimes was the signaling of the 13th Black Crusade. And the bell was tolling, I don't know, warp fuckery or whatever. So he made his way, sensing some real interesting stuff to take, on his way to Cadia. And as the Blackstone Fortress was firing up its major weapon and the Mechanicus were trying to get the shields online, a certain man with a certain large amount of scarabs decided to play the hero and charge up the Cadian shields to block the Blackstone Fortress's planet-killing shot.
Oh, wow.
So
really?
Trazen himself, using a bunch of scarabs and a bunch of Xenos tech, was able to overcharge the reactors of the Mechanicus and save Cadia from death.
Wow.
Without Trazen, Cadia would be a fucking, ash in solar winds.
Wow. I would not expect Trazen to overload the shields and say, well, I guess that's not entirely true, because like you said, he probably wanted some artifacts. He probably wanted to steal some stuff. He probably wanted to grab some stuff for his gallery, and he can't really do that if Cadia's, ash in just solar ash. So I guess it makes sense.
It wouldn't work out well. But I mean, Trazen, he wanted to play the hero a little bit. He was curious, and he's like, I like to fuck around. We do a little trolling. We do a little trolling. So, with that being blocked, naturally Abaddon kind of pissed off. So he decides instead to continue with his major ground assault. The first ground assault was also involving a bunch of demons. Mm-hmm. And it didn't work out thanks to the intervention of Saint Celestine and a bunch of other people. So he's like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. And so then he sends just traitor warships, traitor drop pods black into the goddamn sky. Just never-ending transports of demons, guards, Astartes, everyone. And he himself, along with his personal guard of I think they're Terminators, decided to teleport, because Terminators have teleportation devices, directly into the high spire of good old Lord Creed's command station. Jesus. In order to deal with Creed himself. And who was waiting for him there at the spire?
Creed?
Nope. Color Sergeant Kell, Creed's most loyal servant and like lifelong friend.
Okay.
Creed was nowhere to be seen because he's got such a giga brain and he already expected this to happen.
Of course. Why wouldn't he?
He's such an absolute Chad, man. I love Creed.
I suppose that's the most obvious thing to do when things are like, oh, we've been holding them back for a while. What are they probably going to do? They're probably going to come after me. So where should I not be? In the one most obvious place for me to be. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Color Sergeant Kell instead held the line in that area with a whole bunch of, I think he had a whole bunch of other like guardsman forces to try to use it as almost like an ambush to deal with good old Abaddon himself. Can confirm it did not necessarily work because Abaddon is an absolutely horrifying goddamn person.
Yeah, can confirm, might not have worked. Might have been slaughtered. Abaddon, pretty strong, big claw, big evil sword, probably can confirm that they got fucking destroyed. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that was the main thing, is like, they were realizing that Abaddon was doing this, so Creed was basically going to evacuate, and he wasn't like just not there. Like, he was on his way to get the fuck out of there by the time he arrived.
Right.
And so they were able to get Creed onto a Valkyrie in order to get him to flee away. But unfortunately, Kell himself was not able to evacuate in time, and Abaddon snatched him before getting on the Valkyrie. And the last words that Color Sergeant Kell said before he was fucking bodied by Abaddon was "Cadia stands." And I was like,
Cadia stands.
Bada bing, bada boom. Cadia stands.
Cadia stands.
And then
Shout
Color
it out,
Sergeant
Guardsman fans.
And then Color Sergeant Kell got absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. He probably just got squished like a bug.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the unfortunate part. But at the same time, Color Sergeant Kell, I'm underplaying this a little bit because we didn't talk enough about Creed, but like, this is like a lifelong friend. This is like a personal bodyguard and the closest friend.
Yeah.
This is big fucking pain for Creed. But Creed got away. He was able to make it out. And so, with all of that, and with the attempts on Creed's life, and with all the battles going on the surface, they were starting to have some problems, and they were starting to lose a bit of this battle. The actual, like, forces were kind of making their way in. They were getting ground, things were getting rough. However, let's do a little bit of back skipping once again. Why not?
Flashback.
So before the Will of Eternity fired its big Blackstone Fortress fuck-off gun, there was this contingent of Space Wolves. And these Space Wolves decided to do their very best to hold off the Blackstone Fortress so they could get time to fix their shields. They didn't get enough time. Thank you, Trazen. But what they did is they had a whole bunch of Space Wolves fight against the Blackstone Fortress. And there was this guy, the leader of it, known as, if this isn't the most Space Wolf name of all time, I don't know what is, Sven Bloodhound.
Wow. I love him already.
Sven Bloodhound was a Chad. He was like, all right, we're gonna deal with the Will of Eternity however we can. So they fired a whole bunch of boarding pods into the Blackstone Fortress to try to cause problems from within. Unfortunately, the rest of the Space Wolf fleet got destroyed and killed, which is unfortunate. But
that is unfortunate.
That was their way to like buy time in order to get the shields up, which, thank you, Trazen. But a bit ago, in a super bigger flashback, there's this man. His name is Archmagos Belisarius Call.
Oh!
And Call...
Big boy Call, let's go!
...was speaking to some Eldar. And the Eldar were like, hey, don't really like you, you fucking freak. But we've got some common cause right now.
Exact quote.
Exact quote. And they showed Call a whole bunch of these fancy-pantsy things, which are these weird old pylons. And they're strange because Cadia has this thing. They have these things called the Cadian pylons, these gigantic, super tall pylons that were like present on Cadian system. And no one fucking knows what they were. Their heritage is like alien. No one really knows what they are. They're just these big pylons, and Cadia just kind of built around them. And they're like, whatever, man. So after enough time, Call was figuring out what these pylons were, thanks to the help of the Eldar. And thanks to the Eldar use of the webway, they were able to bypass the warp storms and get Call onto the Cadian system.
Oh,
because,
okay.
Because Eldar webways are like, you know, the back alley.
Yeah.
And Call met with Creed, and he said, hey, these pylons are alien, and the Abaddon, the spoiler, has been going to multiple other planets and other areas to find these pylons and destroy them. And we don't know why. Because, like, why does he care? These are a bunch of alien pylons. Yeah. This is strange. And Call found out, thanks to the Eldar, that these pylons actually hold back the Eye of Terror.
Oh!
So the Eye of Terror is an ever-expanding, growing thing. And these pylons are shrinking it and shoving, or like, at the same time, so it's stuck. It's keeping it closed. If the Cadian pylons were to fall, the Eye of Terror would spread open like a wound, and make a gash into the galaxy.
It would be
chaos,
a hole of terror instead of just an eye. It would
be like a giant slice through the galaxy. Yeah. Like chaos would have full reign. Like it would be catastrophic and apocalyptic. What would happen?
Holy shit. So Cadia, as if it wasn't significant enough for being on the doorstep of chaos, it is also literally one of the things that's keeping chaos from having free reign completely by just unzipping the Eye of Terror.
The cork in the bottle. Absolutely.
Oh my god. Cadia is so important. Holy shit.
It is. So Call is like, okay, I need to study these pylons. I need to figure this shit out, because if we can like turn them on, like act, because they're like inert right now, but if we can like fucking really turn them on hardcore, we might be able to start shrinking the Eye of Terror itself.
That would be nice.
Which it'd be really nice. So he goes to the far bottom, way deep in the mines. And he's like, study, I'm Call. I'm a Mechanicus man. You know, study. And then, you know, someone taps him on his shoulder, metaphorically, I'm speaking.
Yeah.
And it's Mr. Our boy, Trazen the Infinite. And he's like, hey, what's up, homie? You know, what's up, fellow robot man? I'm the Necron. And Call's like, you fucking abomination. What are you doing here? And I think I made him. That's the meme. That's the meme I showed you.
Got you. That's from which video game was it from?
Battlefleet Gothic 2.
Nice. Okay. I know the meeting now.
Yes, the meeting between Call and Trazen. Now, naturally, Trazen's like, hey, Call, how's it going, man? So, like, just, you know, how is it going? You know, you might hate me. I really don't give a fuck. You and I kind of have common cause. I don't really want the galaxy to be destroyed by chaos. Not a big fan of that. And Call's like, hey, fuck you, you fucking bitch. You don't know me. Like I don't know you. Get out of here. And Trazen's like, oh, you don't want to know how the pylons work then? You know, the Necron pylons on your planet? And Call's like,
Necron pylons?
They're Necron pylons.
Oh shit!
And Call's like, excuse me, what? What? Oh.
What the fuck did you just say?
It's like, wait, like you comprehend them? And he's like, I was there when they awakened. Or perhaps I wasn't. You know, memory is such a fickle thing. He's such a little douche.
Trazen bathing in his like in that
Smugness.
ego of his, just bathing it and loving it and just, oh god, what a smug piece of shit.
He's got a really good quote in that one where he's like something about like them being alike or something. I forget exactly what it is. Or like he called him an abomination, and he said, you know, I went to the biotransference in chains. You know, you seem to have stripped away your humanity willingly.
That is true.
And it's like,
what is it? The Necrons are robots that want to be man, and the Adeptus are men that want to be robots.
Pretty much.
They couldn't be anything more different. They couldn't be any more different.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, their little conversation. But Call let him fuck around with the pylons, and he kept a bunch of goddamn Scutari with their guns pointed at him the whole time. But
oh, I bet, yeah.
Trazen didn't give a shit. He's like, oh, shoot me. What do I care? I'll just transfer to a new body. Like,
yeah.
What do I care?
Not a big deal. I've died before.
So as all of the beepity boopeting is happening, then came some more of like the major fucking ground battle. And this is where things get a little bit muddled, just because of time wise. And so basically like three things are happening at one time. Okay. They start the pylons, but there's after the pylon things are going around, there's the major ground battle on the surface itself. And this is Abaddon leading the goddamn charge. This is him down there on the surface, like wailing on people.
Yeah.
And he's fighting off the Sisters of Battle. He's fighting off like Celestine. All this craziness is happening. And even Trazen is also there. And he has his fucking poker deck of little dimensional orbs. And he's like, random bullshit, go! And he threw out like an old Inquisitor. And then he threw out like a bunch of Ultramarines that he stole. And I think he threw out like a Custodian, and he's just like, get him, boys!
Oh my god, an Inquisitor, Ultramarines, and Custodians? Damn.
I think one Custodian, maybe. I might be wrong on that one, but he's just like throwing out his Pokeballs like mad, and he's just like, here you go. It's a bunch of, and like one of the Inquisitors is a lady named Inquisitor Greyfax. She's actually a bit more of an important character right now. She's pretty important, but of course she had the mind shackle scarabs in her brain, so she couldn't, fight Trazen. But Trazen's just like, random bullshit, let's go. A bunch of fucking Ultramarines that they like he stole, and then all of the ground forces are all attacking. It's a War 40K. It's a clusterfuck. Everyone is dying. However, in the air, or I guess in space, so to speak, there is the giant like space battle, and the big thing going on right now is the Imperial fists. And remember how I said that Rogel Dorn is the equivalent of someone putting the square in the triangle slot from a kid's toy?
Yes.
So are their ships. So
Really?
The Blackstone Fortress is big, right? It's pretty big. The Imperial fists come out with this thing called the Phalanx. It's bigger. It is the size of like an asteroid. I truly wish I could explain how big this fucking thing is. It is the size, I think it's the size of a small moon. It's like half the size of our moon, like Luna, our moon. It's like half the size of that. It is a gigantic floating cathedral.
Yeah, Shai just posted a couple of pictures of it, and holy shit.
It dwarfs the Blackstone Fortress. It's like double the size of the Blackstone Fortress.
How many of these do they have?
I don't know. Not many. Point being, it's fair. Really big.
Yeah.
Because having
literally a cathedral. Jesus.
Having big fucking unkillable things is like the Imperial Fists thing.
Sure. Jesus Christ.
It is okay, so basically you play this part in the game, by the way. But basically you attack the Blackstone Fortress. And eventually the Blackstone Fortress shields randomly turn off. And you're like, wait, what? and you realize that, oh, those goddamn space wolves are still inside. And they've been going in and like causing fucking problems. They've been like being good old space wolves, and like good old Sven Bloodhound is like cracking open the areas and slashing all this shit. And the main guy who runs the Phalanx is a guy named Tor Garadon, and he's like, oh, fangs of Fenris bite deep. And it's like, yeah, they fucking do.
Damn. I had just assumed that, like, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't have assumed that they died, but it was just like we hadn't heard from them. The Blackstone Fortresses are still fucking shit up. Damn, though. Let's go, Space Wolves.
I know. And so you know what they do with the Phalanx? They fucking ram it.
Of course they do.
Of course they do. They're like, we've got a bigger ship. Our dick is much larger. And they just like ram the Blackstone Fortress.
The Blackstone Fortress is the square hole. The cathedral is the triangle piece. Get in there.
And
Jesus.
this actually, one, works because the Blackstone Fortress's reactor goes critical and the thing explodes. Not into a bunch of chunks, but like it powers down and cracks and for all intents and purposes is destroyed.
Oof.
They were actually able to take out the Blackstone Fortress and really wreck it.
That's a big deal.
Now, following this, on the planet's surface, a whole shitload of fighting is going on against Abaddon. Abaddon is currently 1v1ing like 10 Ultramarines, like one other dude. His Terminators are fighting off the Custodians. The Inquisitor and the Guard are like attacking him, and he's like trying to beat their ass. And all during this time, he's 1v1ing Saint Celestine, and Saint Celestine is like just going to ham. And as this continues, the pylons glow green.
Oh.
And together, they all grab this big source of energy and they blast right into the Eye of Terror. And the Eye of Terror starts shrinking at a rapid rate.
Oh, so they actually succeeded in turning them on. Okay. Things looking bad for Chaos now. Okay.
They are. The Abaddon is really spaghetti about this. But during this fight, Celestine actually starts becoming incredibly weak because there's an assumption that she gets her powers from the warp because she's like an emperor demon, right?
Oh.
So she
it
like
has
starts
a negative effect on her.
Yeah, she starts like fucking plugging her ears and screaming, and like her wings like turn off and like she falls to the ground. And Abaddon's about to actually kill her ass. And then you know who stops her? You want to know who stops her?
Who stops her? Is it Trazen? Can't be
No,
Trazen, can it?
It's fucking Creed.
No fucking way!
Creed rolls up. He does like a goddamn baseball slide with his power sword, and he trades like 2 to 3 blows with Abaddon.
Oh my god! What does Creed not do?
Well, win because because like he traded like 2 to 3 blows with Abaddon, which for a normal 50-year-old man is a fucking feat.
Oh yeah.
But like after like 2 seconds of fighting Abaddon just cleans his arm off. Oh. Just fucking slices Creed's arm off and like bats him away with his other hand because he's just a dude. But
still right after just a dude.
It is. But right after that, Celestine gets a good fucking shank with her flaming sword into Abaddon's stomach. Oh. And Abaddon is now like pretty mortally wounded by this shit, and he's like fucking furious. So he immediately teleports away. You know, because he's not gonna die there.
Oh no.
But then as all this is going on, the forces on the ground, the demon forces are starting to die and they're getting pulled away. The Eye of Terror is being closed. His exit point is being closed. The Marines, like his Blackstone Fortress is destroyed. The Marines are coming back, like things are not looking good. So Abaddon does the last possible thing he has, and he takes a large amount of his fleet, I think including his flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, and he rams the Blackstone Fortress.
Oh.
And he does turbo boost. He's like, "You'll never catch me, Creed. Not when I switch into maximum overdrive." And oh, that's right, SpongeBob references. You don't get that.
No. I just.
I'm so sad.
I'm sorry.
But what he does, he takes the Blackstone Fortress and he throws it. And he chucks it at max speed directly into the surface of Cadia itself.
Holy shit, that's boy, that's a big boom. I'm assuming that's a goodbye. Yep. That's a goodbye Cadia move right there.
That is a goodbye Cadia move. He basically chucked a small moon into the planet, and the planet cracked.
Yeah, and I imagine it did.
Bad things happen. Now, obviously, some people, Celestine. Well, first things first, the pylons were then destroyed, and the Eye of Terror grew again. Celestine, some of the sisters, Inquisitor Greyfax, and the like, were able to get away on their shuttles. Creed, being the Chad that he was, had sustained 6 to 7 shots, bullet wounds in his chest, and lost a fucking arm. Yeah. And during this entire time was shuttling away survivors. He was getting crew and troops onto shuttles to get them evacuated as soon as he possibly could.
Damn.
And he didn't board one himself. He let everyone else get on instead of him.
Oh, so he fell with Cadia.
Kind of. As he was laying down there, bleeding and dying, a large, tall metal figure stood over him.
No!
And said, "This is not your time, Lord Creed. Eternity awaits."
Oh, no!
And now Creed is considered MIA.
Oh, no! Trazen ganked Creed and put him in the gallery?
Creed's in the gallery now.
Oh, no! After all that, now he has to spend eternity and that sucks.
Well, Trazen really wanted Abaddon in the gallery. He really wanted Abaddon, but he's like, "God damn, dude, for a fucking human, you held off Cadia, you traded blows with a despoiler and lived. Yep. You are literally a part of history. Like, you belong. Man. You belong in the gallery." It's like, don't worry, Creed. Eternity awaits.
Oh, man. Creed probably would have preferred just dying.
Most likely.
Exploding with Cadia. So, if Cadia is destroyed and the pylons are destroyed, shouldn't the Eye of Terror zipper just open and just let everything out?
Shy, you got a picture for me? You got a picture to show the Cicadrix Maledictum? Because I'm sure you probably got one soon.
Excuse the what?
I think it's called the Cicadrix Maledictum. I think it's the actual name of the Eye of Terror. It's like the scientific name or something.
I was about to say, this is no time to be dropping bars, but no time to be dropping your time.
Creed's fucking rap. There it is. That circle part is the Eye of Terror. And the Eye of Terror is on the far left by Cadia, and all of that green. So
is that all just pockets that opened up because Cadia fell?
It split the galaxy in two.
Holy shit.
The galaxy is literally split in two. The other side, the top side, is because of this fucking giant warp storm and stuff and all of chaos, you can't cross it. Everyone on the other side is alone. They are cut off from Terra. They are cut off from the Imperium. They are on their own.
Oh shit. So is that like Age of Strife 2.0 for them?
Possibly worse. Well, Age of Strife is pretty bad. It's bad.
It's real bad. That's no good. That's no mas.
Yes, and I would explain more about it, but the next we probably should make this into a second part, because what follows this is Call's resurrection of Guilliman. and Guilliman leading what's known as the Indomitus Crusade, as a crusade to assist with all the fuckery that just occurred to help fix the Imperium. But yes, Cadia is destroyed. Population 850 million. Population now 0. Creed was able to help shuttle off 3 million survivors. But the main thing is that Cadians and the Cadians there are still fighting. They're still holding off the horrors of chaos. And if I would be wrong to end this episode without saying not only Cadia stands, but the main statement that all the Cadians always love to say, every guardsman will run into a room, say this shit, take a fat dump on the floor and then leave. Where they say that even then, with the planet in pieces, the planet broke before the guard did.
Planet broke before the guard did.
The planet broke before the guard did. The planet is in fucking pieces, and guardsmen are still fighting. The planet broke before the guard did.
That's a pretty big thing for the guardsmen. I mean, that's doesn't get a whole lot better than that. Well, if you won, it would have been a lot better, I guess. But
if you won, it would have been good. A lot of people see this as like Abaddon's temper tantrum, because he took a damaged, not destroyed, star killer, planet killer, and decided to use it as a battering ram.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people kind of had this feeling of like, that's like it worked, but that's a bit of a waste.
I mean, was it though? Because I mean,
no, it wasn't a waste.
Look at the map. Look at what happens to the map because he did that. Like, I would say like it was a worthwhile sacrifice. Like, yeah, sure, you don't have your Black Fortress anymore, but the zipper done opened up. I mean, mission successful. Like,
it's more the idea of like, hey, you could have kept your planet killer and killed more planets instead of just throwing it at it. But
I guess
it was It was fucked up. They were losing the battle. The Eye of Terror was shrinking. It was like, it was time. They needed to do it.
Yeah, he grabbed victory from the jaws of defeat.
Basically. And I think that it was a perfectly correct decision because he put a lot of forces into this one.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know if we have time to go into this, but how exactly did he get all of like chaos to like band behind him? Because I mean, he's the Black Legion. He accepts everybody, but I mean, it's not like chaos was like happy with each other at the time, right? It's not like everybody was like, oh yeah, sure, we'll follow you, Abaddon. Like, how exactly did he get? How did he orchestrate this?
The Black Crusade, in its own right, is quite the endeavor, and Cadia is quite the target.
Oh, so it was just the appeal of getting rid of Cadia and opening up the Eye of Terror that everyone was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever.
If Terra is Washington, D.C., Cadia was the Pentagon. And destroying it is quite the prize. Now, he originally didn't want to destroy it. I believe he wanted to take it.
Oh, he wanted as like his own home base.
Yeah, he wanted to take
pylons. Gotcha.
A whole bunch of slaves. Chaos loves their slaves. They take a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But naturally, it's also this thing where like, hey, if you have a lot of like things you can offer someone, like, hey, Emperor's Children, here's a bunch of slaves. Hey, Typhus, here's a bunch of pestilence. Hey, World Eaters, here's like the greatest battle of all time. Hey, Night Lords, here's a way to inflict terror and fear. Like, give them what they want, and then they'll follow.
All right.
Hey, Word Bearers, here's an entire planet to create dark rituals. Hey!
Hey! Sounds good to me.
So,
right, cool.
That was The Fall of Cadia. It's a long episode.
This is an interesting episode, though. Like, for me, there's a lot more that went into this Fall of Cadia than I thought. Like, Jesus.
And there's more, too, when we talk about the Era Indomitus afterwards, but that'll probably be a shorter episode, I hope. But The fall of Cadia is a big deal. For me, as a big guard player, it's a big deal for me too. It's a very like, it's a tragic yet it's a tragic story filled with like countless amounts of bravery. The guardsmen really showed like their strength here, and Creed is such a Chad.
Oh god, Creed is so badass. Like, as this thing was going on, I was like, oh my god, Creed is gonna survive this. Like, he's somehow gonna get off world, and he's gonna survive this, and he's gonna go on to be the chattiest Chad that ever chatted.
That's a word.
Those are words. I use them. But god, I'm kind of sad that Creed is just kind of stuck for eternity in Trazen's gallery. He deserves better.
At least he's alive.
I don't even care about the guard. I'm just, man, he deserved better. He deserved that, like, honorable death. Like, oh, I did this. I was the one that fended off and let Cadia survive. And this was me, and I'm going down with the ship. And, you know, have that honorable captain, leader death. But no, he's stuck for eternity and with a brain shackle. And it's like, oh, God, Trazen's probably going to put him in a Pokeball and use him in another battle. And,
Yeah, but it's funny.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's 40K. It's supposed to be tragic, right?
Yeah. All right. I think that's it. Should I round us out?
Take us home.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening to The Fall of Cadia. If you really badly want to see better versions of The Fall of Cadia, check out the opening prologue to Battlefleet Gothic. They do a great job at it. Honestly, we could have gotten the same hour-long episode done by just showing DK 20 minutes of that, and it would have done the same thing. But even so, if you want a little bit more like visuals to listening, that's the best way to do it. Besides that, my name's been Bricky. You can find me at Bricky anywhere and everywhere. DK, where can they find you?
DK Diamantes everywhere except Instagram. There you can find me at Real DK Diamantes. Blah blah blah. Don't have the anyway. Yeah. You know, you get it.
I know.
Yeah.
And of course you can find Quite Shy, or Quiet Shy, or Quite Shallow, depending on which one she feels like doing, because I don't know which is which anymore at this point. And we will see you next week for the Indominus Crusade and the resurrection of Robot Girl Man. Goodbye.